Yeah, I had a question just following up, Shannon, what you had said earlier about kind of being on the external side of things. So coming into an organization and not having any control over the contingencies or any of the employee kind of motivations and stuff like that. Just wondering what you do in those situations. I'm in a similar situation in terms of being an external consultant, and it's very challenging to to motivate staff at the same time, not having really any control over much. So I just following up on that.
Yeah, I would say external consulting is a completely different set of skills than what you've learned in your ABA practice. So, you have to learn how to stakeholder, you have to learn how to pitch yourself, you have to learn how to create really detailed proposals and convince people that you're worth bringing on. Because, and I've told some other folks this, is I'm a gamble, whereas a clinical BCBA is a guarantee. So you're going to put money into me hoping that I'm going to be able to get you some kind of business result. Whereas your BCBA that you could use that same money to bring on is going to guarantee you some kind of income. So there's really different challenges in operating as this kind of external consultant. As far as getting a hold of those contingencies, I spend my first few sessions with my, and typically it's more of a coaching relationship. One thing that we really haven't touched on is the sustainability of OBM interventions that are implemented by external practitioners. A lot of the time when young OBM practitioners go in and they implement, they get really good results wherever they've implemented their interventions, then they leave, the intervention goes right out with them. So the organization is not really getting what they're paying for. So my style of consulting is really a lot of, I'm coaching the leader to be the OBM practitioner. I'm teaching them the concepts and principles to be able to take. So in those first couple of sessions, I'm asking a lot of questions. And that's probably the skill that I learned to do the best early on, was knowing what questions to ask, because these business owners, they know their business better than you do. Like, you can't come in and just project what you've seen in 3 other, say ABA clinics, for example. I can't take the information that worked for me in 3 other ABA clinics and just project it on this one and say, I've got the solution for you. I've seen this a million times. It definitely doesn't work that way. So asking a lot of questions, doing appropriate evaluations and assessments to make sure, am I getting at the right variables here? Or am I still coming in with the bias of, oh, every organization needs a performance scorecard system? Absolutely not. Sometimes it's not going to be the solution. So really just digging into those questions, learning their values, getting a hold of their mission, and making sure that you're moving with them and helping them, rather than kind of imposing your own values and your own learning histories onto their company. So questions. That's the biggest thing I can give you for that.
Similar to that, I think if you don't start with the leaders, it's the leaders, right? The leaders have to buy in and carry it out when you leave. When I teach people about this, I think of it like parent training, which was the worst 4 months of my life, where I would go in and I got really good at walking in, talking to them for a little bit and saying, like, I don't think I can help you. It wasn't quite that fast, but like, if you're not willing to take data or try what I'm doing, then it's over, and you shouldn't waste your money on me. I can recommend some other people for you. Maybe that can help you, and I can't. I've done that a lot in a couple of companies that have asked me to come and take a look. As I start looking and I hear what they're committed to and what they want to do and what they're willing and not willing to do. Often data collection, they're just not willing to, or they're not willing to change the way they look at things. I say, thanks, you don't need to pay me. Actually, you don't need to pay me. Let's forget about this consult. Because I don't think I can bring you any value.
Yeah, there's a lot of power in telling them that you've got to walk for a couple of reasons. Sometimes it's not that they won't ever need you, but they're not ready today. So this lets them know, when I say you're ready, after I've said you're not ready, and the reason was because it wasn't going to be helpful. It does build some trust of like, okay, I think maybe he will. I'll put a link. There's a book that's Peter Block's Flawless Consulting. get, how do you overcome objection? And really the game there is not overcoming objections. The game is to get to the true objection of anything and then decide if, and a lot of times when you're coming in on a top-down project, you need a champion. So that's one. Find who's going to be your champion of that program. You've got to build whatever you're going to do. And then you've got to be mindful of the time you're putting in and managing it. And I'd say on the front end and pretty frequently reminding them, when I exit, you're going to have somebody that spends this much time, or maybe more because I'm pretty proficient at it, in doing this. I'm still doing a consult where basically I came in and I was driving financial decisions for a group because the person wasn't very good at that. So I was pulling the data, creating spreadsheets, analyzing it, projecting, and then recommending changes. And so basically sort of an interim CFO-ish. And partially just to get them in the black so we could then make some decisions. Once we did that, it was like, all right, now I am exiting. You've got to hire or allocate someone. And it was taking me 6 hours a week. So you're going to have that much labor cost that you're willing to bear for this, or it's going to go away because it's not magic. And so I think that kind of dovetails with what Shannon was saying in terms of making sure they're committed to the sustainability. And I would add on as you're doing it, really highlighting your time and effort. So they're getting their arms around that's what's going to need to be in place when you exit, or it'll be the flavor of the week game. And so that's something that I think if you look at Carl Binder's systems, that's what he tries to put in place. Is he will often, if you ever reach out about the performance thinking, he doesn't want to just consult. He wants to train an internal person as the performance thinker. And I believe it's for that reason largely. So, and that's one route to do it. There's other ways to do it too, but that's definitely something should be front of the mind of how do I, when I exit, will this continue? Because you do want it to continue because you want them telling their friends. As I've said, that's one of the best. If this is going to be your livelihood, that's the way to get more and more business.